Mentioned this a moment ago, the cost of amnesty. President Obama now saying he is willing to shut down the federal government if Republicans won't pass funding for his immigration policy. Doug Luzader's got a calculator down in Washington, D.C. and figuring out how much all that's going to cost.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I need my little green eye shade this morning, but a lot of numbers have been thrown around here as far as the economic impact of the president's plan. So let's talk about a couple of them. First of all, $40 billion. That's what the Conservative Heritage Foundation estimates will be the cost to taxpayers of the president's new immigration plan. On the other hand, we've got this number, $350 billion. One immigration advocate says that's how much economic activity will now be done above board.
These are very strong net positives for the economy, particularly on the fiscal side. Immigrants continue to pay heavily on the tax side and are the lowest users of government services.
But is that really the case? You really have to look at illegal immigrants in general. The Migration Policy Institute came up with this analysis of illegal immigrants. 50%, they say, have less than a high school diploma. 31% live below the poverty line. 51% don't speak English well or at all. 35% either unemployed or not part of the labor force.
Just as anybody who, with an average 10th grade education, will probably not be a high earner and will end up paying less in taxes than they receive in government services and benefits.
And that leads us to the earned income tax credit. Generally, low-income earners don't pay an income tax to the government at the end of the year. Instead, the government actually sends them a check. And the administration has been clear about this, that these illegal immigrants will, in fact, qualify for the earned income tax credit. Back to you guys.
Because they paid in. All right, Doug, we thank you very much. Great report.
Thanks, Doug. Now, Laura Ingraham joins us live to discuss all that's been happening in Ferguson and post. Tensions, rising, of course, across the nation. And now a meeting in the White House. Laura, good morning to you. $263 million in Ferguson spending to retrain law enforcement. Is that the great way to spend the taxpayers' money?
First of all, let's look at what that whole scene looked like in there. When I just looked at the image, just the screenshot of that, it looks, and it reminded me of one of those like Thursday night seminars in college where everyone kind of just kibitzes around the table and they talk about the world's problems, and in the end they just come up with the same conclusion, basically that the system is rigged, that minorities can't get ahead, and that we need to spend more money. And indeed, that's exactly what happened yesterday at this meeting. There's never anything that happens in the country that the president doesn't believe can be fixed with the spending of more money and getting America deeper into debt. And indeed, when you see the $263 million that he's proposing, I guess we can just find that money somewhere. I don't know. But we never talk about where we're getting the money.
Yeah,
and we just
take
keep
it from the
throwing money
military
at these problems.
Yeah, just take it from the military. That's what we're good at.
We got a lot of ink.
And guys, I was thinking about this. The body cameras, I think that's an interesting idea, and I think obviously it would have vindicated Officer Wilson early on in this process. But maybe, why not put a body cam on the president? Because I know a lot of people would like to know this. How much time does he actually spend during the day on the U.S. economy? I'm talking about jobs, opportunity for people, expanding economic opportunity, and running the government versus doing the community organizing around the table. I just like that body cam would be fascinating. So I'm all in favor of spending money on that body cam.
You know what, Laura? You know who would run all that, all his video, would probably be the Golf Channel because he does a lot of that.
Great idea. Well, they need some fresh programming.
Sure. Just about an hour ago, we had Michael Nutter, who is the mayor of Philadelphia, on. He was in the meeting with the president yesterday. And essentially what he was saying is that the police need to be retrained so they know how to deal with the community.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what about the community and their dealings with the police? Listen to this exchange we had with him.
Treating people with dignity and respect has to be a part of their job and all of us as public servants. There can be a disconnect in communities in any city, including our city, between how residents feel about the service that they get, how they are treated in their own community. And if that gap in trust grows, then you have a dangerous situation. So I think the president has been balanced in this effort. All of it may not have been completely laid out in the 4 points, but I think those 4 points are the right points.
What do you think?
Well, how about self-reliance versus self-pity? How about conforming our behavior to the law instead of bitterness? How about actually the principles of truth versus the principles of rabble-rousing and spreading distrust, which I think this administration has done?
Right.
Actually speaking basic truths. I know that's a crazy concept in America today, but if you punch a cop, if you try to get into his car, if you walk down the middle of the street and you rob a store, it's not going to end well. You're either going to end up in jail or someone's going to get badly hurt, and your life is not going to be a good life. It would be nice if the President of the United States, with all of his education and all of his wisdom and all of his experience, actually spoke truths to people and had the community really represented there. There was one police official there, but there were no shopkeepers at that meeting yesterday. And again,
nobody
the president,
from Ferguson.
Yeah, he always goes political at these meetings. He never goes pragmatic. And the pragmatic thing is people need jobs. Stop giving opportunities away to illegal immigrants. Actually focus on getting the communities at work. Because guess what? When you have to wake up in the morning, guys, and you have a job or a child to really take care of, you don't have time to be out in the streets burning down buildings.
You know, I mean, Charles Barkley, to your point and adding on there, said, why don't we get practical here and imagine what it would be like without law enforcement doing the job that they're doing. It'd be the wild, wild west. Take a listen.
We have to be really careful with the cops, man, because if it wasn't for the cops, we'd be living in the wild, wild west in our neighborhoods. I think we can't pick out certain incidents that don't go our way and act like the cops are all bad. Do you know how bad some of these neighborhoods would be if it wasn't for the cops? There's no excuse for those people to be out there burning down people's business, burning up police cars.
Laura?
I would argue that who has been more damaging and paid less attention to the true needs of minority communities in the country, the Obama White House or state and local police? I would say state and local police has done more to help and assist minority communities than this administration has in the last 5+ years. So if you want to be mad at someone, I'd be mad at the administration that hasn't spent really any time on getting real jobs, good-paying jobs into this country. And instead, it's more recriminations. None of this is going to help the average minority in this country or working people. It's just not going to help anybody.
The Attorney General hasn't left yet. It was yesterday in Atlanta, and he was speaking out, and he wants to end racial profiling, which I don't know how that figures into this case, but he came out and said once and for all, he wants to end it, and that's the problem with policing today. Do you think that was on message or off?
Well, I mean, this is the way they view the world. The racial prism is how the Obama administration viewed the world at the very beginning of this administration, and apparently it's worked so well for them, they're going to keep doing it until the 2016 election. Again, I think people are fed up with this. I know a lot of people watching this right now are trying to figure out ways that they can actually buy Christmas presents for their children this year.
Right.
The people who are shutting down those stores, who are blocking the freeways, they're not the modern-day Rosa Parks. Most of them are very selfish, and most of them don't really care about Michael Brown. They care about anarchy, chaos, and doing the whole anti-capitalist thing. That's what they care about. And the president should have spoken about the dangers of what some of these people are doing on the streets, and he didn't.
Yeah, maybe that's the message today. Don't hold your breath. All right, Laura, thank you very much. Have a great radio show. Starts in about 50 minutes all across the country. Thank you, man.
Thank you.